Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today you're watching Josh's Reptiles, and for today, as you can see, we're going to be just talking about ways to make your chameleon happy and just overall to have your chameleon as a good pet and keep in good condition, and it'll live a very long time and it'll have a good life. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video and watch until the end. So of course, chameleons are a tropical species of reptiles. They live in rainforests and they require a lot of humidity and water, and they grow slowly, so it's also a good need for you guys to have big enclosures. Most of the time I would keep them inside a glass exoteric tank, which is about 24 by 24 by 18, and it's also in very good condition. But I also just planned on keeping my chameleon in a exoteric mesh enclosure. As you can see here, it's around 4 foot or 3 foot, and he really enjoys it. As you can see, he's up there. This is my veiled chameleon. He's a pied morph, and if you're wondering what pied is, it means that sometimes you can see chameleons online or in the store that on their toes they have different color pigmentation. So my chameleon here has pink and white spots on his toes. It's pretty cool, and my chameleon enjoys his enclosure a lot. He has a lot of places to roam around, and here I'm going to show you just things that you guys can have in your enclosure. So here I have my chameleon up there. His basking spot is there. Then I have some fake plants in here, just some big branches. And with chameleons, they also prefer branches because they're a lot more stable than plants, because plants they don't wobble plants they wobble when they climb on them, and branches are stable and strong. So the branches will be a good enough place for them to walk around on. And here I have a really big ficus tree, and these are also plants that are good for chameleons. I have one here and I have a smaller one there. And then for the substrate, I just have reptile bark, and this is an enclosure. So also ways that you guys can make your chameleon happy will also just be feeding your chameleon often, having your chameleon have the best kind of food and nutritional values. Chameleons also require a lot of vitamins. You guys can feed them their insects like roaches, crickets, dubia roaches, hornworms, waxworms, mealworms, and you guys also need a few different kinds of vitamins like Earth Pro, calcium with D3, and multivitamin calcium. Oh, those three that I just showed you right there is the main kind of supplements you guys need for your chameleons. Because also, the thing about I just recently discovered is that if you guys have your chameleon in an enclosure with a UV bulb, which also prevents your chameleon from getting metabolic bone disease, which is a serious kind of disease, and you guys always just feed your chameleon insects with calcium D3, is that if you guys are always feeding the same calcium for feedings throughout the week, this can actually poison your chameleon, which is bad. And this is why I have the 3 kind of types of calcium, because D3 helps with your chameleon to not get metabolic bone disease, and multivitamin just has a lot of more nutritional values to your chameleon's diet. And then plain calcium is also really important for your chameleon's health, because this plain calcium, and calcium helps your chameleon to have strong bones, bright skin and colors, and it's overall just healthy. And things with handling your chameleon is that here, as you can see, I'm just holding Ralph, my male veiled chameleon, for this video. And handling can also help your chameleon to be more tamed, because I've seen some places online, and if you guys have bought a chameleon recently and you guys aren't really handling him often, and you guys might try to handle him for the first time, your chameleon could also be really aggressive. But here you can see Ralph, my veiled chameleon, isn't aggressive. he's just wandering around onto my hand, and overall my chameleon is in pretty good health and condition. And as you can see closer, these were the things I was talking about, the color pigmentations on his leg. And things you need for your chameleon to have a good environment would be the basking bulbs, and of course most importantly UVB bulbs. Basking bulbs help your chameleon to get warmed, and you know reptiles are cold-blooded, which means they need like warm air or warm lighting, so most reptiles will require like heating. It could either be a heat mat or a heat bulb, but for my chameleon I have a 75 watt heat bulb. It's a daylight one, and the best thing to do is that I would really recommend using a daylight heat bulb, because if you guys are using a red heat bulb, like those red infrared ones, they can actually stress your chameleon out. So I just find that using daylight bulbs would be a lot more like better for your chameleon overall. And reptiles also don't really like colored light, which is something to look out for. I'm just going to place my chameleon on his birds. And also, kind of substrates you guys can use for your chameleon could be refty bark, as I was just showing you there, and coconut fiber. Coconut fiber is good for keeping like dampness in the tank, which means that it'll have a lot more moisture in the enclosure. I might change that in future. It's because I find that if you guys are having coconut fiber for your guys' chameleon enclosure, it can be a lot easier for your chameleon to ingest the food, which is bad. And when you're feeding your chameleon and there's a loose kind of cricket or insect in the enclosure and your chameleon comes down to eat the insect, there could be like some loose substrate like coconut fiber on your guys' cricket's foot, and then if your chameleon comes to eat the cricket, then it will take in the soil with the cricket that it ate. So I would probably recommend just having a bigger kind of substrate, like I have refty bark here. And if you guys really want your chameleon to have a good life and overall feel safe and happy, is that you guys need a lot of like places for your chameleon to hide. So in my enclosure I have, it's around 3 foot tall, the ficus tree. It has a lot of plants and leaves for the chameleon to hide in, and at night time my chameleon will go and sleep inside the plant actually, which is pretty cool. As it's warmer inside, it has a lot more places for the chameleon to feel safe in, and overall chameleons make good pets. And things that you might have thought about chameleons is that it's a false lie that chameleons can change to absolutely any color. Like if your chameleon could be on a yellow surface, then it would turn yellow, but these are actually just false lies and accusations of seeing online or seeing them in cartoons and stuff. But chameleons actually change their color depending on their mood and how they feel. So right now my chameleon is just excited. If you have seen in my most recent YouTube short, I've been talking about the chameleon color chart and what colors they change into depending on their emotions and their behavior. So chameleons will mainly just change color depending on the humidity. So if your chameleon is basking, it could turn a darker color because it's taking in heat from the heat bulb, and also that if your chameleon is stressed, you guys might see that it might be having like dark spots and it might be hissing at you or biting, whether if it's aggressive. and it's really mainly just emotions on how they turn and change color. I know with panda chameleons are really beautiful species. They have like purple color, blue, red, all those insane colors, which are pretty nice. All chameleons are different though. So this is just something to point out to you guys on if you guys are looking to get a chameleon, because it can change every single color. It was just telling the truth on them and why they actually change their color. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. This is just a simple way on how to make your chameleon live the best life possible and keep in good health. Those of you guys who are watching this video for the first time, hi there, my name is Joshua and I make awesome reptile content and arachnids and care videos. Overall, join me on my amazing adventures in keeping reptiles, and if you're new, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.